No, I haven't. I'm a little scared.
All right, I think we're ready to go. Good morning. This is the January 9th meeting of the Budget, Capital, and Personnel Committee. I'm Mike Lane, the chair, and we're joined this morning by Shauna Black in Chambers, as well as Rich John and Deborah Dawson. Lee Shurtleff is remote because of a work impediment, and he is going to be allowed to vote.
Thank you.
Let's take the minutes of December 12th. Anyone want to move those? Deborah, seconded by Rich. Discussion about the minutes. Are we ready to vote? I'll call the roll here. Shauna?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Changes to the agenda. We have to add a appropriation from contingent fund resolution that's on your desk. That'll be added at the end of number 9. And we have to withdraw 2 resolutions, C and D, from social services, and they should be coming back next month. Comments from the public. We have privilege of the floor. I have one blue card this morning from Amanda Kirch-Gessner from Ulysses. Amanda, I think you're familiar with our rules. We certainly would give you 3 minutes. Why don't you come talk to us?
Good morning. My goal this year is to get best attendance for all of the, for as many of the committees as I can make. Thanks for being here this morning. I really appreciate your showing up. I'm here. You just pulled the resolutions I was kind of edging towards. We really, really need to look at the tax dollars that we're putting into the Department of Social Services locally. I've been there a lot over the past couple months. I'd love to introduce you to some of the individuals I've been meeting and connecting with. They'd be happy to meet with you and share some of their experiences. This may sound extreme, but please don't use our tax dollars for state-sanctioned violence. There's a lot of violence happening at DSS in the lobby through the denial of services. I'm not certain where the issues are, as I learned last night. It's hard for you to figure this out also. I'm hopeful that our attorney, the county attorney, might be able to help us get to the bottom of this. But I've been interacting with lots of county departments lately. And one thing I've noticed, the departments that work, and there are many, DSS is the only place I have any criticisms. Everybody I've interacted with within the county departments that work all cite great leadership. They all say they have really good people in charge who allow the individuals who work there to do their jobs. So whether there aren't enough funds for caseworkers, the caseworkers are overworked, I don't know. But it seems to be a supervision issue within DSS that is resulting in the denial of services. I can cite one incident which I was a party to where an individual was denied and then was so severely beaten where they were told was safe to stay for the night that they wound up hospitalized. There's a lot more details that could be shared, but the fact of the matter is we asked for help, we were denied, and even more taxpayers' dollars were invested in this person's care as a result of a denial of services. We can do better. I know we can do better. This is a tight-knit community. We need to help each other now more than ever. We know the belt is going to get tightened. There are plenty of ways that we can do this. There's so much duplication of services in this community, and then there's a few key missing pieces. But we need really, really strong leadership from everybody who's in a position of leadership right now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else? Brittany? All right. Our county administrator is our chief budget officer under the charter, and we're going to welcome our brand-new county administrator, Corsa Akumfi, this morning. Welcome to your first budget meeting with us, and we look forward to working with you this year and in the future. And we'll open it up if you'd like to report to us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will invite Norma to go to it. I believe she has a report to go to today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to have Corsa on board, and, you know, he's got this all down. We don't have to, there's no more training. We can just all leave, and you're on, and you're all set.
Yeah, 3 days, you should be, yeah.
No problem at all. No,
That's the normal way we do things, isn't it?
it's been.
I can attest to that.
You're fired.
No, it's been really good to work with Corsa the last few days. So there's just a couple things. I wanted to report to the committee that thanks to Samantha Freilich in our office, we have all of the ARPA funds encumbered appropriately for at year end of 2024. Actually, it's Amanda, yeah. Amanda and Daryl in the finance office worked very hard to make sure that all of that information got captured and appropriated in the right ways.
That is a big deal.
It is.
It is a
Yes,
big deal. We
it was
should
a
all clap.
tremendous amount of work for them to do, yeah. So, and between the finance office auditing and Samantha tracking, it was really great. And also, we've been tracking the opioid funds program as well, and that's one of the resolutions on the agenda today for some of those changes. But again, I just commend Samantha for the work that she's been doing to track that information as well. I just wanted to kind of share with the committee today, just as a precursor to further conversations throughout 2025. I've been working very closely with Lori to utilize our budget software, you know, now that we're year 2 in. What I'm finding is Lori's challenging me in getting data out of that system. And because of the way we track our information annually for our budget, it makes it a bit of a challenge to get the data back out to provide the reports that we have. And I'm saying all that because we are capturing, for example, this year we had, I think, 25 or 30 over target requests, all separate proposals from the Human Services Coalition, which is fine, except for as we try to get that data back out, these are individual transactions that then have to be kind of tracked through the system. It's just not the way most of the budget systems work. Generally, folks are submitting a line item budget, and we're able to kind of track them through a line item. So I don't expect anybody to actually, I don't really have a full plan right now. I want to work with some departments to kind of to bring forward a proposal, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea that we might be looking at a different way of tracking that information for 2025.
Is it specific?
Go ahead, Deborah.
Yeah, is it specifically the Human Services Coalition?
No,
or
no,
is
no,
this
I just
across
use,
the board?
yeah, it's across the board. I use that as an example because, and not to pick on them, but only because there were a lot of requests from that
Right.
because they have so many agencies that they support, right?
So it sounds like the software is like the Roach Motel. You can check in, but you can't check out.
Yeah, well, we can get the information out. It's just the amount of time that from the administrative time that it takes to get the data back out. We've figured it out. We make it work, but we're making it work. And it could work much more efficiently if we just kind of looked at our processes a little bit different.
So but it's internal. It's not part of the legislature's
Nope,
budget.
no, it just might, but it might look a little different when you get
That's all
your
right.
information next year. So I, as Lisa would say, it's best to bring everybody along as we have these conversations. So that's what I wanted to make sure we're bringing everybody along in the conversation.
Thank you.
And I am working directly with Corsa on this. I'm not doing this in a vacuum. He and I have been talking about this
Yeah, we
process as
understand
well.
that.
Just to make sure that that's clear.
Yeah, just, so the over-target requests don't jibe with the line items, so you have to do it sort of manually.
Yeah, if you talk to any of the software vendors, they all kind of scratch their heads at the way we capture data for for anything over and above what a target request is. Generally, that's, and Course has had some experience with this as well. Generally, that's just an additional line in their operating budget that they say, we needed this extra money to buy a car, or we need this extra money to hire this person. It's not usually a complete new budget, which is the way we kind of handle those.
Okay, so the solution will involve adding lines.
Adding lines to the line item budget rather than creating a whole nother proposal, which I think actually would be less confusing for the public and less confusing for the legislature in the long run. And then when we're reviewing budgets, we're looking at
Might be the
line,
short run, too.
and maybe in the short run, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But
Okay.
that's kind of the idea. But when you're, just before you start seeing things that look different in September or even April, because that's when we start our budget process in 2 months, you'll want to, just to kind of get you with that mindset that it might look a little different.
Deborah?
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the things that's been an issue that's been discussed over the last couple of years is the multi-year OTRs that somehow or another turn into target. And it seems like that happens often without the legislature really evaluating and reviewing them. So I would ask that however you decide to present this and put it in the software, it's still visible so that we can assess whether or not we want a multi-year OTR to turn into target.
Yeah, I agree.
Rich?
And I assume this is moving us towards our holy grail of real-time financial reporting, where we would know how much cash we have. Closer. Closer, yes. Good, good, okay.
Lori, did you want to say
I was just
something?
going to say, it's certainly a step in the right direction, yes. for-
Yes, we proceed by steps. That's right.
We like the smiles.
And I will say, too, that we have been working very closely with finance on all of these processes, so nobody is working in a vacuum, and I think that's really a key to making all of this come together. And again, I want to pull departments in, and as we did when we started this process, to talk about how that's going to work for them.
Yeah. Once you said reporting over targets as extra line items, it made perfect sense, and if you need support from this direction
Thank you.
with the rest of the legislature, I would think we would.
My only criticism, Norma, is you said we don't start the budget process for 2 months. We never stop.
I mean, it's true. It's true. It's true. Clearly, since we're talking about it now in January.
And next month, whoever's chairing this committee, I hope will be looking at goals for the committee. And one goal we want to keep in mind would be for the possibility of a retreat that we talked about with Lisa a month or so ago, for that individual to come in from Albany and talk to us about the whole budget process.
Yes.
Anything else for Corsa or for Norma?
I don't have anything else.
Shauna?
I'll just say, as far as the other conversations that we've had in regards to staff morale, one of the items that Lisa has brought forward in leadership in the past year has been the fact that staff morale is not great, and that it would be helpful for our staff as well as the legislators to have a retreat of some sort to really have conversations around our county priorities and build relationships. So I hope that that is something that, I'm not sure necessarily it's something within this committee's realm, but I do hope that,
Well, we are personnel.
right. I mean, I do hope that leadership and administration somehow figures out how to make that happen, because I think we should be doing it at the very beginning of the year.
Lee Shirtliff.
Just a quick question for Norma. On the pandemic relief funds, is there any kind of a comprehensive report or a summary, a bullet point document that shows what the county proceeds or revenues were on that and where they were directed? Have we ever had any kind of a document? I know we had a number out there at one time of $20 million that came in various buckets.
Yeah, there is in the budget document itself, we've had kind of a breakdown of where we've spent the funds, whether it's operating expenses, capital and such, and community recovery fund. As Samantha has obviously a more detailed report of exactly what those expenditures are, but we can certainly prepare kind of a generalized report for this committee for next month if you want to have something to review.
Might be a good prologue as we move on.
That would be a good idea.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Anything else? Go ahead.
To Shauna's point, is there anything we should be doing to try to move forward the idea of a retreat? Or is that left to county administration? I don't want to shirk responsibility if we should be doing something.
Sorry. I would say we discussed it yesterday, so it will be part of the planning process that will be brought forward for consideration. So yes,
Okay.
it will come from our end, and we will discuss it hopefully next month.
Okay. We are certainly good at doing nothing, so we will do that.
Speak for yourself.
So are we going to do this in the Caribbean or on the Riviera?
Well, maybe we'll consider Ghana because so I can take everybody home.
Or on the shores of Cayuga Lake, yeah, okay.
Okay, shall we move on? Lori Scarrett, our Director of Finance, is up next.
Good morning. Just a quick update on the MREM foreclosure process. We currently are at 66 properties in that process. To remind you, we started the process October 1st with 97. So we're making progress and hope to continue to make more. We have 35 installment agreements in place as of today. That's my only update.
That's interesting, and maybe I can ask this question of Corsa. I know we've done pretty good compared to a lot of other counties as far as whittling down the numbers of foreclosure proceedings. How would it compare, for example, to Schoharie, where you were?
We were more in the middle of really planning and understanding the process and how that will affect our revenue side of things. Because before the Supreme Court ruling, we were considering that as part of our revenue, or I call it unplanned revenue, because we didn't budget for it as a revenue, but we capture it when it comes in. But after the Supreme Court process, we're now looking at how that will impact our operations. So usually we estimate and put minimum in the budget as a revenue to maybe offset cost. But in 2025 budget, we didn't do that because we didn't know how to approach any excess that comes in. But because of nature of Schoharie, we struggle earlier in terms of getting anything from property sales, but within the last 3 years, there's more of a huge revenue return from it. So we're trying to capture that clearly before the judgment. So we're trying to find out what will be an easier approach to deal with it, and maybe for the county to be a bit more of a hands-off approach and allow the court system to process it. And I believe after a couple of years that if the funds are not claimed, it gets back to the county. So we're more of a preparatory stage at that point. So I need to then understand how it is done here. Looking back at some of the things that you do, I think you are way ahead of in terms of planning processes and how to get back some of those money. So just to understand the process here.
I think Lori's department escrows those monies now, because, and go ahead, Maury.
Yeah, overall with respect to the process, a couple of things. One, the motions for return of surplus funds by individuals who own the properties have been rolling in. I submitted a form of proposed order to the court that addresses some of these issues, because usually the claimant just says, order, disperse money. And the court basically looks to the parties to administer this. I don't think the court is going to go out of its way. So we do have a set of forms and instructions for claimants on that. In terms of recognition of the money, because the money is subject to pretty much undisputed claim, I think recognizing anything other than the county's fee as county money for revenue purposes would not be the desired course, that it should be recognized as something else, so that when we go and disperse the money, if somebody claims it, we're not running into a gifting issue. I'm happy to contribute to developing the process for recognizing those revenues, because in terms of administering the process, when it gets down to applications for disbursement and dispersing, I think that's largely falling to our office rather than the court system.
Lori?
Yeah, I just want to clear that we don't recognize any of the revenue from the sale of the properties. We are only recognizing any fees that are associated, that belong to the county. And we did reduce those in this year's budget due to that ruling.
Is there a limitation statute on how long they have to submit a motion?
3 years.
They have 3 years. So what happens to the money after 3 years if no one submits?
It reverts to the county.
The county gets it.
To be used to reduce the levy.
Thank you. What else, Lori?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions for Lori? Human Resources Commissioner, I don't see Ruby, but we have Larry here with us today.
Good morning, everyone. There will be no report for Human Resources. If you have any questions you have for Ruby, I'm happy to write them down and take them back.
Is there any update on some of our searches as to where we are?
Which ones?
I know there are a lot, but certainly the communications director for one, and we know that I think there's going to be a historian we've got to put out a job description on, and I don't know and we may have, I think we're going to have another commissioner we're going to have to do a search on. Any words of wisdom for us?
So county admin is handling the communications director position, and they're wrapping that up. And Commissioner of DSS, that search is wrapping up here very soon. And historian, we haven't started yet.
Not Commissioner of DSS.
Deputy Commissioner of DSS.
Deputy Commissioner. Yeah.
My apologies. What else? We have Deputy of Facilities. We've extended that to the end of the month, hoping to get a couple of more applicants for that one as well.
Thank you. Any questions for Larry? Under my report, I wanted to bring back the question about an appointment to the Municipal Healthcare Consortium. I brought it up last time at the request of Chair Klein. He's basically had a request from the board to have a legislator appointed. And we had, at our last meeting, we had one legislator and one county attorney, and I think both of them would be great people to have there. But I also offered to accept any inquiries from the rest of the legislators at the last, not the last, but the last previous county legislature meeting, and received none after that. So what does this group want to recommend to the chair?
Who was the legislator? Who was?
Shauna.
I said I would do it if no one wanted to do it, so I am not dying to do this, but I will do it if no one else wants to. But it would be wonderful also if Maury would love to do it.
Well, I can take that back, and I know it's an election year, And I know you've mentioned that you're going to seek reelection, so that means one more task that you're going to have to be involved with. So I just want whoever's doing it to be able to do it right. But they did ask for a legislator, so that's,
Sure, I'll do it. Yeah, that's fine.
okay.
I'll back you up.
This-
No disrespect, Maury, we,
No, that's okay.
that just, we're trying to fulfill what they're requesting. So I will forward that information to Dan Klein. Do we have anything from WDIC? I don't see Veronica. You know if they've met?
I don't think they've met since the last meeting. I seem to recall her mentioning that there hadn't been a meeting when she reported on Tuesday.
Well, if she pops in, we'll bring her forward. Then that brings us down to resolutions. We have a Resolution A, acceptance of the 2024-2025 New York State Criminal Justice Discovery Reform Grant Funding. That's ID 12970. Is there a motion for that? Rich, is there a second? Seconded by Shauna. Anyone want to discuss this one with us?
I believe this is an annual amount ever since discovery reform, just to reimburse for some of the costs associated with it.
And this is budget neutral for us, right? This resolution? Money in, money out? Yeah.
We
Is,
probably already spent it.
is this the grant that we had quite a discussion during EBC with the district attorney about as to the use of
I think
this
is a
money?
different one, isn't it?
Or is this a different pot?
No, I think this money might be at least some of that.
Partially.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's I'm sorry, there's a small amount. The reason why that $7,965 is there, the DEA actually budgeted the majority of this grant, and so there was a very small adjustment that needed to be made by resolution.
Any other questions or comments on this one?
I guess I
Rich?
would, just that New York State certainly could designate that it needed to go to the district attorney's office. It is into general fund, is my understanding, and it's up to us to decide how to disperse that money.
Okay, let's vote. Shauna?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes?
Lee?
Yes.
I'm yes. That's unanimous. Let's go to B. Contingent Fund Request 2024 Capital Program for Voting Machines, ID 12986. Who wants to move that one? Deborah, seconded by Rich. Discussion about this one. This is just some money.
If you have questions, I'm happy to answer.
Sure, this is moving money.
Yeah, it was so there was when the request was put in to purchase the voting machines, there was a hope that they would get some state aid to help cover part of that cost. The state aid never came to fruition. We need to close this account out, and this is the deficit in that budget to be able to close the capital project out.
Anything else? Let's vote. Shauna?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes?
Lee?
Yes.
I'm a yes. That's unanimous. We skipped C and D, so we'll go to E. Request to amend Tompkins County Opioid Settlement Fund Contract, OSFC, with the Cuga Addiction Recovery Services. Someone want to move that one? Rich, seconded by Shauna. Is there questions on this? Deborah?
Yeah, I don't know what Bell's AI software is or hardware expenses for Epic EMR. Just seems like only $10,000 of this money is going for Narcan and the rest of it's going for stuff that I don't understand, so can somebody explain it?
I can help with Epic
Thank you.
EMR. That's electronic medical records. Epic is the software provider, and I know this because my son worked at Epic.
Okay.
I can explain a little bit more
Shauna.
of this too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So, as everyone knows, the opioid settlement funds we received into the county, and we had a task force that assigned, that applicants applied for. There was a pot of money that is now mostly out in our community, and CARS submitted their application for a little bit different items. And other agencies did put in for software, and pretty similar to the EMR stuff. A lot of the agencies are using very outdated systems that aren't talking with each other. And so this Epic, the hospital uses it, a lot of the local nonprofits use it so that they can exchange healthcare information, and it's HIPAA approved and all that. So it's one of these expenses that no one wants to spend almost $100,000 on a software, but this grant made it possible and isn't causing our nonprofits to bleed cash on something they don't necessarily get a great benefit out of.
Thank you.
Norma?
No, that's fine. Shauna answered the question.
And I will point out that apparently what they were going to use some of this money for these vending machines, they've got another grant for. So it doesn't mean we aren't going to get them.
Oh, okay. That's good to know as well. Thank you.
Are we ready to vote on this one? Shauna?
Yes?
Rich?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Resolution request for authorization to extend additional 1% sales tax rate in Tompkins County. We love this one. Someone want to move that? Deborah, seconded by Shauna. I guess we're back to, we have to do it every 2 years. At one point, we had it for 4 years, I think, and then I don't think the last time that they extended it again. Is that right, Lori?
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we can do without it, so
Nope.
anyone have any comments? Okay, let's vote then.
Bless you.
I'm sorry, did somebody say something?
Lee sneezed, I blessed him.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
Make sure that's in the minutes. Yeah.
Miss
A
Black.
big, because don't forget to put Gesundheit in there, too. Shauna?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
I'm a yes. That's unanimous. And then we added the resolution appropriation from contingent fund for 2025 legislator travel and training. GO recommended that we move this money out of the contingent fund to the legislature fund, Norma, if I got it right, not the clerk's fund, but the legislator fund in the budget. And that's what this does.
So I'm confused. I thought we had specified, it put a certain amount for legislator travel and training in the actual budget. So why do we have to take it out of contingent?
No, it was all put in contingent.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it was all in contingent, so this has to be moved from contingent to
Okay.
be able to utilize. Otherwise, you're doing it one by one. It would be a little maddening.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
that-
sure you don't want to do
And
that.
that's what GO talked about. We didn't really want to have to, every time somebody had a request, have to go back to the full legislature for it. Okay, are we ready to vote on this one? Shauna?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Mike, can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
So I wasn't at GO, and my understanding is we reduced that line item for the legislature for training and travel. what is the process if legislators are traveling locally and need to be reimbursed and there's no money in the account?
Well, that's going to be up to the legislature. I said at GO that I intend to continue to put my mileage in for requests, and there are probably other legislators who will do the same thing. And I think it's got to come out of the budget somewhere, or there's got to be another contingency request.
Okay.
Well, I guess somewhere is the question.
Rich?
Yeah, there was a discussion at GO on that exact point, and that's a different line item. What line, I'm not sure. But we also had the general discussion that historically, the 14,000 seemed to accommodate all of the travel and training that we had been doing.
Okay.
So even though the number had been reduced, it wasn't reduced to the point that somebody wouldn't be able to go to travel and training. We agreed to cover the NISAC and a particular conference Travis wanted to go to, but we would then handle it on a request basis after that. But putting all the money into the legislature budget line would allow us to do that relatively easily. But
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be any real impact on travel and training in '25 as a result of this.
Okay, thank you.
Did you have any comment, Katrina? All right. Well, that brings us at the end of our printed agenda. Are there other things that we should be talking about this morning?
Did we vote on this?
I thought maybe I didn't.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All right. Thank you, Brittany, thank you, Deborah, for keeping us on track here. All right, let's vote on this resolution to move that money. Shauna?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Okay, that brings us to the end of the printed agenda then. What else should we talk about this morning? We've got a few minutes if we need to, but we don't need to spend everybody's time if we don't have business. Rich?
Yeah, I wanted to hear my voice for a little bit, I guess. So I would.
It's being taped, but
Let's vote on whether
Yeah,
the
yeah.
rest of us do. Yeah, okay.
I can't remember what our committee goals were for '24, but if we could I think we met them, but I'm assuming that.
I think it would be a great idea for the next month, whatever the rendition of this committee is, reviews those goals and as well as tries to set the new goals.
Yep.
That make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Anything else? Donna?
I just want to say, Michael, thank you for being chair of BCP. I think we've had a really great committee this year, and I feel like we've actually done a lot, expanded budget. Our budget process was very intense, and we made it through on the other side. So thank you. We appreciate you.
You're more than welcome, and you've assisted as the vice chair of the committee, and I thank you for your efforts there. And everybody else who's been on the committee, it's been a pleasure serving with all of you, and certainly the wonderful work we've had from our staff members and direct reports have been great. Rob up in the control room, Brittany up here in front, keeping us on track, and certainly the administrators and the director of finance and our county attorney and the deputies have all been great. So with that, why don't we adjourn?
Why not?
Thank you, Mike. I agree. Good year.